Serge Ibaka and the Raptors getting set on the day in between, the off day between game two and game three. The Raptors looking to take a 3-0 lead in the next game. It'll go Friday at 1:30 Eastern. No team in NBA history has ever recovered from being down 3-0. Welcome to Raptors Today, the virtual edition. Paul Jones, along with Sherman Hamilton. And Sherm, the Raptors went up 2-0 yesterday, but prior to the game, the big talk was about the body cam video being released of the from the Alameda County Sheriff's Office of what actually happened that night of June 13th when the Raptors won the championship. Masai Ujiri issued a statement. The highlights of the statement are here. If people would like to go and read it, it's on the Raptors Twitter page. But Masai expresses thanks to the people that are showing care and concern. He also says it's sad that in his proudest moment, as he went to approach his team to celebrate with them, to congratulate with them, somebody reminded him that he was just, quote, in my eyes, another black man. And then Masai goes on to say, if he didn't have the success or the notoriety or the public, the public acceptance that he has being in the spotlight, this case may have never come to where it is now. The body cam video being released. How many cases like this are out there where there's no, it's not a team president. There's no video analysis, and it's a black man's word against a white person in law enforcement. And we know where that goes all the time in terms of who wins and who loses. And Sherm, again, I know I'm getting at the start of the show here, I'm getting amped up, I'm getting riled up, but this kind of stuff happens far too often. It's commonplace and it has to stop. Hence, the movement needs to keep going. How many like Masai have been victimized like this, yet it doesn't turn out their way?
Well, this is the epitome of systemic racism. I mean, when you think about it, Masai Ujiri clearly is assaulted multiple times in that video, and yet we had to hear and tolerate the argument of the officer charging Masai with assault. So until this body footage came out, Masai didn't have any leg to stand on. But now that it's out, now there's still questions about Masai in terms of what might have happened. This is an uphill battle that Black people have to face, and it's time that it ends. Let's be real here. Masai has resources. Masai has a platform. Masai has a title. He's a successful Black man, and that's why he was able to continually work this situation until he got it to this point. But to your point, Jonesy, there are a lot of Black people that don't have the status or the financial ability that Masai has. And those people are left hung out to dry. And this is what the system does. It says it's not racist. It says it's not targeting Black people, but it does. And when they don't have the financial or the resource ability to defend themselves, they're just thrown into cages. It's time to end that. And this is the system that we're fighting against, and we're not going to quit fighting against, because this is why a lot of our brothers and sisters are put behind the 8 ball in life in general, not just in a situation like this.
Well, Sherm, to me, it just it looks as if this officer was, perpetuating a stereotype. Masai came up, he was clearly, Sherm, taking his pass out. And to me, as I look at the body cam video, the second time, Masai didn't even approach that same person. He was going to somebody else to explain who he was and why he needed access. And that first figure came and pushed him again.
Yeah, and if you look at the extended version of that video, there are a couple of takes on it. You'll see that there is a Black man who is trying to calm the situation down. He's got his arms out and he's trying to tell the officers, no, don't do this. Don't do this. A Black man who understands that situation that Masai is in right now could go very, very wrong. And all he wants to do is diffuse it. And you could see the concern, the urgency, the fear, all of those emotions in that man who was just trying to calm the situation down for the sake of Masai, because in the back of his mind, like we all know, that
Masai, you're in trouble.
Yes.
Exactly. It does not end well. You're in trouble if you get into it with law enforcement. All right. Earlier today at practice, some of the players weighed in on seeing the body cam video. We know that Masai addressed the team. Here's what Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka had to say.
It shows why we're supportive of the social injustices that are going on right now. It shows why we're supporting of the Black Lives Matter. It shows why we need to get out there and vote. It shows why we need to, get those guys to arrest the murders of Breonna Taylor, because they're police officers like that officer out there who are scumbags, basically.
I mean, it's kind of sad, because honestly, I don't think nobody believe in Masai, when he say he was innocent. And as a black president in the NBA, as a black man, it's hard, as a black person, you against a white cap in this country, it's hard. Nobody know where you're gonna believe you, But thank God, Masai, he got financial. He got possibility to to fight against what happened back then. I don't think if Masai didn't have money, to find good lawyers like other black people, I think people will still not believe him. So things should never be like this all over the places. No matter where you come from, no matter what country, what your colors, things should never be like that. Because like I say, if Masai didn't have that money, or for Masai to be in this position he's right now, he will be guilty. So, thank God, now everybody can see from that tape what happened that day. And, this gonna tell us, to understand, and, this fight is far for to be over, and we have to stick together, and we have to fight this fight together.
Well, Sherman and Serge, both Serge and Kyle hit it on the head. And I do want to get back to basketball, but I mean, we see the system of racism, the systemic racism turn in favor because one side is always favored. I think about, Trayvon Martin wearing a hoodie and George Zimmerman supposedly standing his ground in Florida, and he's released. There's a trial and justice supposedly shows that he's okay. These are the things that I know personally, they anger me, they anger you, they anger Black people, because you're fighting against a system and you're basically fighting with both hands tied behind your back.
Well, you're right. And they're armed. And that's the disadvantage that we're at constantly, daily. And you think about it, what they're doing is they're robbing us of these moments in our lives. Masai had a chance to experience a championship moment. That was robbed. But think about the people who don't have Masai's wherewithal and financial resources. They're robbed of lifetimes of experiences with their families, with their kids, with their loved ones, job opportunities. Their life is forever changed. And I think that those moments are the things that really turn people sour. And those officers that do things like that need to be taken to task and need to be handled in the same way that those Black men and women would have been handled if they had been accused and been charged and been convicted of the crimes.
Well, I'm still waiting for them to arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor.
Absolutely.
I'm still waiting to see what happens with justice for George Floyd.
Absolutely.
Eric Garner, all of the, I mean, there's still so much out there. Anyway, Sherm, let's get to basketball, because on the good side, Masai's team continues to perform, especially one little man from Rockford, Illinois, who, by the way, is trying to get body cams on officers in Rockford, Illinois, Fred VanVleet. And the Nets might want a body cam on him because he's doing it to them. He's robbing them. 30 points, a career high, his first double-double in game one, another standout performance in game two, and the Raptors off to a 2-0 lead, Sherm, largely because of the play of Fred VanVleet.
No question about it. I mean, we remember last year in the playoffs how he started out, and everyone was questioning whether he could step up to the challenge of the playoffs. Well, this season, he's made sure to answer those questions with a resounding yes, and he's been absolutely phenomenal in the first two games of this series, shooting the ball, distributing the ball. Defensively, he's been very good. He's just had this calmness and this, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to get it done the right way type of approach. And again, it's not just Fred. You have both guards playing that way. And I think Fred does a great job of feeling the game out. But his toughness throughout these first two games has been phenomenal. And his numbers are off the chart, over 52% from the three-point line. And how about averaging 27 points, and almost 11 assists back to only 1.5 turnovers per game. He's doing a phenomenal job. And Fred has been a real reason why the Raptors have figured things out in the first 2 games of this series.
Well, Sherman, the other guy that had a terrific game after a bit of a subpar performance in game 1 was Norman Powell. He was aggressive. He made shots. We saw the confident Norm Powell, the same kind of guy we saw most of the regular season, playing downhill, being aggressive, working it at the defensive end. And he came up with a big game. And again, typical of the Raptors, you watch out for one guy and somebody else kills you. Their balance, distribution, and just their willingness to let somebody else drive, no matter when it happens or whenever they need it to, is something that's going to put them in good standing going forward.
Yeah, it's a real team when you think about it, how they approach the game. They really don't care who's scoring and who's getting all the praise. They just want to win, and they'll support anybody who's helping them win. And I think for Norm Powell, one of the things that Norm really brings forward is he elevates their transition game. When they headman the ball to Norm can attack 1 or 2 defenders and make a play, whether it's for him to score or to break the defense down, to start the ball movement and find teammates. Norm does a great job in the open floor. But his decisions when he catches a ball, he's up into his shot quickly, or he's off the dribble, he's attacking, he's making a play. He's not holding on to the ball and checking it for error. He's going aggressively, and he's decisive with his movements. But game 2, he was phenomenal. Back to where we saw Norm Powell at before this COVID suspension of the NBA season, because he was having these type of games consistently at that point. So it's good to see him finally return to that form in a game in the playoffs.
Well, Sherm, the Raptors up 2-0. And, a couple of years ago, for 2 seasons, the Raptors had the #1 point differential in the fourth quarter, hence we the fourth. And they did a great job again yesterday after being down over the first 3 quarters to come back in the fourth quarter. And now you look at the Nets, Joe Harris has left the bubble. Karis LeVert continues to be the focus of the Raptors defense. Brooklyn could be in trouble here. I mean, it's not like they're going back to New York and getting a shot from the crowd. They're going back to the same gym where the Raptors have kicked their backside for 2 games. So they're going to have to generate some energy. And Nick Nurse and Kyle Lowry spoke about defending the Nets and moving forward in game 3. Let's have a listen. And Sherm, we're going to get your reaction in a bit.
It's a kind of completely different looks, Eric. And normally it depends on, what we're thinking they may do, right? So Fred goes on him to get underneath him a little bit and to defeat some of the ball screens on his own, and they're playing a lot of pick and roll, but then they try to ISO and go shoot over the top of him, and then we try to, then when we try to get some more size on him between OG or Pascal, so it's a lot of guys have ended up covering him, which I think is good. We're sending one way, then we send him the other. We're up some, we're back some, we're switching some, we're trapping some. You're right. You said it. He's seeing everything we got. And we had to use everything yesterday. Well, first of all, Gregory, I'm sorry to hear that about Joe's mother. It's too bad, and he's really played great and had a great series. Obviously, he was a handful yesterday and doing everything, like 15 rebounds or something, and obviously he's a knockdown. He's one of the premier knockdown guys in the league. And that means, that means a lot of things. You got to hug them, you got to chase them, you got to really work. It frees up a lot of driving and rolling and all that kind of stuff when you got a guy like that out there. So it's unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate for him and his family and his personal situation, first and foremost, and for their team. We always want the best players out there playing.
I think with Karis, first question, Karis is he's becoming a star every game, every moment. He was playing great after the All-Star break. He's finally healthy. He's just being able to kind of be himself. And I think what we've seen from him is his passing ability has gotten better. I think his reads have gotten better. But for us as a team defensively, we know he's going to have the ball. We know he's going to make plays. So we have to go out there and make sure that we make everything tough on him. He's really, really talented basketball player and Coach Jacques Vaughn is a very good coach, and he's putting them in position to be successful. So as a group, we just got to make sure that we have our eyes on him and know what he's trying to do and know where he's going to go, and just make everything a little bit tougher for him. And, with Joe leaving for personal reasons, it sucks, honestly. I'm friends with Joe, so it's just unfortunate. But I don't think it weakens them. I think it makes the next guy have to step up for them, whoever they may be. It might be TLC, it might be Tyler Johnson, it might be Jamal Crawford, it might be Lance Thomas, Justin Anderson, whoever, Mascot, whoever it is, those guys are going to step up, I'm sure. So that's what that answer would be.
Next up, game 3, Raptors look to take a 3-0 lead. No team has ever come back from down 0-3 in series in the NBA. It's 0 and I believe 124, 130 tomorrow afternoon. And look at the Nets scoring, their top 5 scorers, and they are number 1 in the NBA over the 2 games in assists. So they are denting the Raptors defense a little bit. But Sherm, we started the show with talk about Masai. Savanna, Randy, and Akil are dying to weigh in on this. Let's go to RTX.
Thank you, Jonesy. You're watching RTX. I'm Savanna Hamilton, joined by Akil, Augustine, and Randy Urban. Guys, I'm going to just jump right on into it. Some heavy topics today. CP24 reported that the Alameda police are now saying, don't be quick to judge based on what the lawyers are saying, referring to the body cam footage of Masai Ujiri's incident he had in the finals last year. Randy, how do you even try to refute this video evidence?
Yeah, really disappointing. I actually didn't see their response until late last night. And my first thought when I saw the video was, finally, we are going to have some closure to this, horrendous incident of the president of the Toronto Raptors. And, I was excited for Masai and the team and just to be done with this. And then I see this response, and I'm flabbergasted. Like, I don't even know how somebody can defend that. And, I was talking to my dad today, and he said, people, they need to protect their power. So they distort the truth completely. And he says that there's no concept of truth. It's not a concrete thing. It's a tool that they use to maintain superiority over others. And for me, that's super sad and demoralizing. All other adjectives that are stronger than that I can't think of now, because how do you fight a battle that you can't win, right? How do you argue with somebody that the sky is blue and it's so clearly blue and they say it's red? And that's I don't have words to say that. Like, it's awful. It's awful.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, Randy, when you bring reference to the structure of it and the fact that this is a point I'm going to continue to make no matter where I go. We're fighting a battle. It's a battle between 2 levels of consciousness. And I think police, the way we are being policed, the way our society is being policed, we don't want to bring that into certain environments. I think we need to address our style of policing, because I don't think they're the same people that are addressing terrorists and murderers and inmates should be addressing our children and fans at games and the mentally disturbed and so on and so forth. I think we need to look at the powers that have been given to the police officers and question their tactics once they're called into question. The police cannot police themselves. And this is the same conversation that I've been trying to have, and I'm glad we're having it here, which is we need to defund the police and create other ways. There should be a different set of people inside the stadium making sure that we're safe than the people who are out there armed, trained to respond to very, very violent altercations. There has to be some kind of change, and I think this is just another example that's going to, highlight the difference in consciousness between people like ourselves and other people in positions of power right now in our society who want to keep going with these archaic modes of policing.
No, you said it right there, and I'm so happy that we were able to have these conversations on RTX. However, it's so important to hear other people's perspectives, and I really appreciated what Leo Routens had shared. Check it out. TSN also posted it on their own Instagram.
You have a black man in a suit is running an NBA franchise with security around him, and he gets treated that way. I walked on the court without anybody asking me for my credentials. What's the difference between me and Masai? I'm white, he's black. This is why we kneel. That's why that phrase and that statement is so important.
So important to hear that from a guy like Leo Routens himself. He was there in the same building, okay? He didn't even have to show his credentials like he said, yet he had no problem, but Masai did. Now, I say that, and I thought it was important to include. I had a conversation with Dwayne Watson and Patrick Troy about including that clip in here, because if you know, Masai being the president of the Toronto Raptors just goes to show you that racism is so regardless of class, and that was just like the perfect example of it. But if we could take just one positive thing from this situation, I'm going to go to you first, Akil. Isn't the timing of the video that's got released now better because the spotlight is on Black Lives Matter and police brutality?
Yeah, I mean, sad to say, because I think, in traditional ways of thinking, you would say no, and you would say it should have come out right away. Why were you holding on to this footage? That's preposterous that Masai had to go through this year-long ordeal. But knowing the makeup of Masai as a man, if what had happened to him can be used in any way to further the fight, that not just Black people, but people who just share the sentiment of equality are going through right now, then yeah, he would probably be happy that it can be used as a tool. Although in a perfect world, that footage should have come out a lot earlier. And I do hope at least at the end they find out why. This is part of the process too. Why did it take this long that this footage existed and it took this long to come out?
Yeah, that's really well said, Akil. I couldn't have said it better myself. You hit all the points there. So I'll just give a little bit of an example of something that happened in my life. I was, first of all, just to what Leo said, every time I step onto the floor and don't show my past, I know that that's happening. I recognize it and I don't like it, and I don't know what to do about it, but I know that it's happening and it's awful and it's a shame. Just this example that I have, like I was 16 years old when I got my driver's license and I got into a car accident trying to turn left into a Wendy's. And the person that hit me was a minority, a visible minority, not a Black person, but a visible minority. And I honestly couldn't tell whether I was at fault or not, whether I was in the proper lane. And they ruled in my favor. And I knew that it was because of the color of my skin. Like I at that time, I felt like they believed me more because of that. And that was when I was a 16-year-old kid, and I don't know how, like, we just got to keep fighting, right? We got to keep fighting. That's just it's not appropriate. It's not right.
No, thank you, Randy, so much for sharing your perspective. And of course, Akil, for also.
So, yeah, just to and since then, I wanted to say this the last time we had this. I've never been pulled over by the police. Never once in my life. I am a good driver. I'm not that good of a driver. Like that's sort of, again, what I'm trying to get at with that stuff.
No, you nailed it right there. If we're going to call it for what it is, it's a level of privilege. I have a level of privilege even being the skin tone that I am, right? So this conversation is great. I'm so happy that we could talk about it here on RTX because, there's not many platforms that you can. That being said, we do have to go back to Jonesy and Sherman, but thank you guys so much for contributing to this conversation. I really appreciate it. Jonesy?
All right, Savanna, we have had a lot of discussion and there's more to come. Please keep this discussion going. For Savanna, Randy, Akil, Patrick, and Jake behind the camera, and my guy Sherman Hamilton, I'm Paul Jones saying, wear your mask, stay safe. We'll see you next time on Raptors Today.